Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. I'm Deez, this is my shop, and today's project is going to be another beginner's project, but we're going to incorporate a little bit of lathe work along with some mill work. Today we're going to be making, or trying to make, a whistle. It seems like a simple little project, so let's get this drawn out and I'll explain what my plans are. I've been looking online at different styles of whistles and things that are achievable, things that I can make, and I think I have a design in mind. It's just going to be inspired by all kinds of different plans and things that I've seen online, but this is going to be my own, and we're going to draw it up and then we're going to see if we can knock this thing out. Alright everybody, we got this drawn out in kind of a rough idea of what I'm going for. It's going to be a whistle that we'll use this 1/2-inch aluminum to make, kind of a long, narrow aluminum whistle. We do need to bore a hole into this, maybe 1/4 inch. I do have this dowel here that I plan on using, but I'll turn that down a little bit to fit in there as the reed. Could use this one, but it's rough. It's got grooves in it, so I don't think this one would be appropriate. So I'll probably use this, cut a piece off, put it in a drill, sand it down until it fits snug in a 1/4 inch hole. I think a 1/4 inch would be good. Maybe I'll go, I don't know, a little bigger, 15/64 or something, but I don't know. Anyway, so we need to drill a hole into this, and the tricky part on the lathe is going to be that I need to put a groove in here for the whistle portion that makes the noise, and I need to put it at a 20-degree angle. So I'm going to need to figure out how to mount this up in the milling machine, in the vise, at a 20-degree angle, so I can come in here with an end mill and cut my groove in there. So it'd be at that 20-degree angle. This will be parallel, but this will be at a 20-degree angle. So I need to get that set up. I think that's going to be the first thing I do. I'm going to bring that in, I've got a 19/32 end mill. I was kind of wanting this anywhere between 1/2 inch and 3/4, but I think I need to cut into the center bore. So I'm going to go ahead and use this was about the right size of end mill that I had that I think is going to work out. So I think I want to come in about 19 30 seconds from the end to where I'm going to make my tapers for the whistle portion. So yeah, so I need to get this angle set up and then figure out which direction to. So if it's 20 degrees this way, I'm going to use this junk here. So I'll have it in the vise about 20 degrees, and yeah, so I want to have it like that. Yes. So I think that's the way that I want to mount it, is coming up at an angle. If I had it going down at an angle, I would need to do it on this end, but on the way that I'm going to mount it with my collet, this is going to work out. Okay. So with that figured out, we want to come in 30 seconds or so. This side's a little more done, so we'll scratch a little bit there. And that is where you're going to want to cut. I don't think it's totally crucial, but that's about where I'm going to cut my 20-degree angle with the end mill. Yeah. So that's going to be the first thing we do. And then we'll get it in the lathe. I need to center bore that out, face off the ends, put a little bit of a chamfer on both of those, a little angle, and yeah, we'll be on our way to making a whistle. Let's get started. So here's the setup. Let's get this wiped down a little bit. I'm going to use my square collet chuck. I need a 1/2 inch collet, and my angle finder. So this will hold our workpiece. Get that in there, and that's going to be the setup so that we can mill that angle in the whistle. Before we do that though, I need to mount this at 45-degree angle in the vise. Make sure the faces are clean. And this is what I got. I was thinking I would do it this way. Bring this over. It's going to be tricky, I think, but I'm going to figure this out one way or another. Might be easier if I get this off of here too. And take this back. There we go. That is 20-degree. Pretty close anyway. That's how we're going to do it for today. There is our 20-degree angle. So this is how we're going to give it a shot today. I think it's going to work. Alright, this is the setup. We've got this mounted at 20 degrees. It's firmed up. We have our 19/32 end mill in here. I've got it pretty close to where I want to start my initial cut. going to go right there. And then the idea is to bring the cutter down slowly until the opposite side of the cutter just starts to come flush with the top angle of the rod. And that's it. I don't want to go any deeper. I don't want to go any further. That's going to be the operation here. So let's get this thing started. I have you mounted on the table. We're going to see how that is with shaky cam. I'm still trying to figure out camera angles and mounting systems for this to get good shots. But this is the setup. We're going to go with this. And let's get this first cut knocked out. I think we got it. Pretty close. Maybe a little too deep there. Just a little bit of a ridge. I'll clean that up with a file. That's what we needed to do on the mill. So what I'm going to do is get that out of here, and then we're going to go over the lathe and do our center drill. Alright, we got you in here. This is what we ended up with. I think I went a little deeper than I needed to, but I can clean that up with a file. That's what I was going for. What I want to do now is put a 1/4 inch chamfer on both sides. One will be for the whistle side and one will be for the other end, just for aesthetics. So we'll work on that because I want to face that off a little bit anyway, and then we'll put the angle there. We'll flip it around because in our last operation here will be to drill our hole, and we'll clean it up later. So for now, let's put it in like this. If I can get it in there. So now we're going to drill our center hole through here. Let's get this compound out of the way. Get our cutter out of the way. I'm about due for a new insert anyway after those last couple projects that I worked on. Cut a lot of aluminum with that project. Get our center drill, get this set up, and then we're going to drill our hole. Let me get some of this cleaned up. Our milling operations and lathe operations should be done other than the cleanup of the outside. So the next thing we need to do is get our dowel to fit in there and figure that out. All right, let's continue on. This is going to be cut way down. But here is our finished rough cut piece. Obviously it needs polished up to make it look nice. But we've got our tapers on the ends. We've got our hole drilled about 3 inches deep, so it goes down to about there. So we've got room here if we wanted to put some flats and maybe make a hole for a keychain. And the next thing we need to do is make our reed. There is, from what I've seen with other whistles and things like that, you need to have a reed in here, piece of wood, to compress the airflow that you're pushing through here. So what I have is, let's see, this is about 5/8 3/4 deep. So I've measured that, and what I want, I can leave a little bit out because I can always shave that off, clean it up. But what we want to do is put a flat on here. Now, from what I've read online, if you picture this being shoved in there, you're going to have a little bit of gap at the top. You don't want it half and half. You want to be able to kind of close that hole about like that. So I'm going to experiment with different depths, but I'm not going to go and file half of this thickness off. So I'm just going to use a file, and we're just going to file it off, and we'll see where that gets us. give it a shot. I just worry that this is a little bit too thick yet on this end. I think I might try to sand that down a little bit farther, because once it's in there I'll have to drill it out if it's not going to work. I'd really like this to work, so I'm going to take a little more off of there. Well, let's get on with it. Let's get this pressed in there, and hopefully it's going to make some sound. So the idea is to get this tapped in there. There's not going to be a lot of Is it going to go, or do I need to make that a smaller dowel? We'll find out. We shall see. There's a little bit of a, it's going to slice any of the excess dowel off that it doesn't need. Maybe this will work. We're going to find out. We're almost there. Got some excess we can clean off of there. Alright, we got that pressed in there. Let's go ahead and clean this up, this end. The excess sandpaper or wood dowel that was on there. I'm going to get that cleaned up. I think I'm going to mount that up in the lathe. Let's get that mounted in the lathe, and I'll face this off properly, and then maybe we'll clean it up while we're over there. Before you complain, this is a cleanup pass. I don't want to center drill the end of this, and this is just how it is. So I know this much stick out will flex and cause problems. I'm just looking to clean this up. So with that said, let's get started. Put a little oil on that. I may just use some emery cloth. Actually, I think I will. See if I can get it pretty clean with just some emery cloth. Maybe some sandpaper. Let's see, what do we got? There we go. It ain't great. Try again. So it's not perfect, but I don't really want to turn this down with that much stick out, because it is wobbling, and I'll end up having I'll be frustrated with what happens. So that's good enough to clean it up for now. This is kind of just something I'm messing around with. So we'll flip it around. I want to clean off the there we go, where that wooden dowel was. I said we were going to clean that up. So let's get that flipped around. Of course, now it's all going to be scratched up from this. It's a tight fit, that stock that I have. That's going to be fine. Let's get that tilted a little bit. Alright everybody, this was a fun project. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't tested it. I got it cleaned up. I'm excited to try to test this. Man, I hope this works. Like I said, this is the project whistle diagram I started with. It's a simple little project, but it gives you the opportunity to do some horizontal boring with some drill bits on the lathe. You get to use the mill. You get to actually experiment with some angles on your mill, some setups. I'm sure there's so many different ways to do things. This gives you the opportunity to experiment with the tools that you have in order to achieve those kinds of angles and different cuts. I was able to use the mill and the lathe for this project. Even did a little woodworking with some dowel wood. And anyway, that's the basic whistle that I was going for. I just hope it works. Like I said, these were just some general guidelines I got off of different plans and different designs and just whistles on the internet, and I thought I could make something like this. So let's give it a test. How about that? Something so silly, a stupid little whistle, makes it so satisfying. So again, beginner project, but this is all about learning the tools and learning the machines that you have. What can you do with it? These techniques and things that you use to make these types of projects will apply to bigger and larger projects down the road, whether they're for fun, decoration, or true mechanical functional pieces for automobiles or fixing up a bigger lathe or anything else. These are the tools and techniques and things that you're going to be able to use to expand what you know. This was a fun project. I encourage you guys to make this one. So with all that said, I'm going to give you a little toot, and then I'm going to close this video out. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Enjoy that lathe and that mill, and just get out in the workshop and make something. Thanks for watching.